Book 3, Chapter 13. Whether we may trust more to a valiant captain with a weak army, or to a valiant army with a weak captain. Coriolanus, being banished from Rome, betook himself to the Volscians, and when he had got together an army wherewith to avenge himself on his countrymen, came back to Rome, yet again withdrew, not constrained to retire by the might of the Roman arms, but out of reverence for his mother. From this incident, says Titus Livius, we may learn that the spread of the Roman power was due more to the valor of her captains than of her soldiers. For before this, the Volscians had always been routed, and only grew successful when Coriolanus became their captain. But though Livius be of this opinion, there are many passages in his history to show that the Roman soldiers, even when left without leaders, often performed astonishing feats of valor, nay, sometimes maintained better discipline and fought with greater spirit after their consuls were slain than they had before. For example, the army under the Scipios in Spain, after its two leaders had fallen, was able by its valor not merely to secure its own safety, but to overcome the enemy and preserve the province for the Roman Republic. So that, to state the case fairly, we find many instances in which the valor of the soldiers alone gained the day, as well as many in which success was wholly due to the excellence of the captain, from which it may be inferred that the one stands in need of the other. And here the question suggests itself: which is the more formidable, a good army badly led, or a good captain commanding an indifferent army? Though, were we to adopt the opinion of Caesar on this head, we ought lightly to esteem both. For when Caesar went to Spain against Afranius and Petreius, who were there in command of a strong army, he made little account of them, saying, that he went to fight an army without a captain, indicating thereby the weakness of these generals. And, conversely, when he went to encounter Pompeius in Thessaly, he said, I go against a captain without an army. A further question may also be raised, whether it is easier for a good captain to make a good army, or for a good army to make a good captain. As to this, it might be thought there was barely room for doubt, since it ought to be far easier for many who are good to find one who is good, or teach him to become so, than for one who is good to find or make many good. Lucullus, when sent against Mithridates, was wholly without experience in war, but his brave army, which was provided with many excellent officers, speedily taught him to be a good captain. On the other hand, when the Romans, being badly off for soldiers, armed a number of slaves, and gave them over to be drilled by Sempronius Gracchus, he, in a short time, made them into a serviceable army. So too, as I have already mentioned, Pelopidas and Epaminondas, after rescuing Thebes, their native city, from Spartan thraldom, in a short time made such valiant soldiers of the Theban peasantry as to be able, with their aid, not only to withstand, but even to defeat the Spartan armies. So that the question may seem to be equally balanced, excellence on one side, generally finding excellence on the other. A good army, however, when left without a good leader, as the Macedonian army was on the death of Alexander, or as those veterans were who had fought in the civil wars, is apt to grow restless and turbulent. Wherefore, I am convinced that it is better to trust to the captain who has time allowed him to discipline his men, and means wherewith to equip them, than to a tumultuary host, with a chance leader of its own choosing. But twofold is the merit and twofold the glory of those captains who not only have had to subdue their enemies, but also, before encountering them, to organize and discipline their forces. This, however, is a task requiring qualities so seldom combined, that were many of those captains who now enjoy a great name with the world called on to perform it, they would be much less thought of than they are.